Welcome to my American History Notes, where I discuss conclusions that I've drawn from studying American history. And you may not agree with my conclusions, but you should at least know about the people, events, and topics and concepts, ideas, and places that I'm talking about, and more. This is just a surface survey. The last of the founding fathers to serve as president was James Madison, the fourth chief executive, who served from 1809 to 1817. Just as Thomas Jefferson's greatest contribution to history had already been made in the writing of the Declaration of Independence, so James Madison's role as the often called father of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights already guaranteed him a place in history. As Secretary of State under Jefferson, he contributed not only his genius, but the services of his wife as hostess for the widower Jefferson's White House. Married in 1794 to a pretty young widow, 17 years younger than himself, they had no children of their own, but raised her son by her previous marriage. Madison came to office at a time of severe crisis in foreign relations. Both Great Britain and France were riding roughshod over America's rights as they fought the Napoleonic Wars, and American opinion was sharply divided. The Federalists in the North favored Great Britain, while the Democratic Republicans in the South and West favored France. One of Jefferson's last acts as president had been to repeal the impossible to enforce Embargo Act and to sign the Non-Intercourse Act, which allowed trade with any country except France and Great Britain. Neither of the superpowers was impressed, and and Britain was thought to be behind an Indian uprising in the Northwest. First, America annexed West Florida in October 1810 after frontiersmen seized the Spanish fort at Baton Rouge and proclaimed the independent state of West Florida. The dispute over whether or not West Florida was included in Louisiana Purchase wasn't settled until 1819, when Spain renounced sovereignty after having kept back this part of what Napoleon had originally obtained and then sold to Jefferson. The British-inspired uprising, excuse me, occurred when the chief of the Shawnee, Tecumseh, tried to organize a confederation of Indian tribes to oust white settlers from the land in 1811. He was supported by French-Canadian fur interest. As friction increased, Brigadier General William Henry Harrison, governor of the Indiana Territory, moved with 1,000 troops against the Indian capital, Prophetstown, about 150 miles north of Vincennes. On November 7, 1811, his force was attacked at dawn by the Indians as they bivouacked camped on Tippecanoe Creek. The attack was repulsed, and a successful counterattack routed the Indians. The Indian capital was destroyed, and Tecumseh's power was temporarily shattered. Between 1811 and 1812, friction with Britain continued as the ever-increasing resentment fanned by the Battle of Tippecanoe boiled against that country. This was promoted by Canadian support of Indian uprisings and Americans who wanted to annex Canada. Both Britain and France preyed on American merchant ships at the same time. More than 6,000 American merchant sailors were impressed into the British Navy at this time. The British frigate HMS Leopard had opened fire on the USS Chesapeake in June of 1807, and in 1811, the USS President captured the HMS Little Belt in May of 1811. War hawks, as Jefferson termed them in Congress, such as Henry Clay of Kentucky and John Calhoun of South Carolina, urged conquest of Canada while England was busy at war with France. And we'll continue with Madison's era next time. I hope this will encourage you to study it, look it up. It's fascinating stuff.